Trump is speaking at this anti-Semitism event. I'm surprised he didn't bring his friend Mark Robinson, who describes himself as a black Nazi, but Trump just said straight up that Jewish people will be to blame if he loses this election, and he kind of does it in a thinly veiled threat. Let me know what you guys think. Let's watch this clip.
But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right, but you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger. And the United States hasn't been treated right. So if I don't win this election, and I've been very good, you know, they say Trump's been right about everything. I've been right about a lot of things.
Who says that?
Even Ted will admit that. I've been right about a lot of things. A lot of things that a lot of people said, no, that won't happen, but a lot of bad things happened, and some good things I've been right about too. And I only want to be, so I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss. If I'm at 40%, if I'm at 4, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him?
Here he is using Palestinian as a slur. Ron Filipkowski says, this is a straight up mob threat. When you get desperate, you start threatening, because Trump did tell the Jewish group that Jews will be to blame if he loses. Quote, I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right. This man is losing his mind. How does the mainstream media not call Trump out on this shit? He just gave a speech at an anti-Semitism event in Washington, D.C. only hours after we learned that one of his closest allies, one of his favorite surrogates, gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson, once described himself as a black Nazi, once described himself as a perv who loves transgender porn. And again, we don't care, we don't discriminate, but these people always try to strip rights away from groups that they have affections for. I want you to watch this clip of Donald Trump saying that Jewish people should have their head examined, while not even acknowledging the fact that one of his closest friends is a, quote, black Nazi. Make sure you leave a like on this video, and let's jump right in.
I say all the time that any Jewish person that votes for her, especially now, her or the Democrat Party, should have their head examined.
And the craziest part is, VP Harris has a pretty center-of-the-road view on the war between Israel and Palestine. She has said repeatedly, over and over, that yes, Israel has a right to defend itself. Of course, Israel has a right to exist, and we will support Israel. But how Israel defends itself matters, absolutely. You need to minimize civilian casualties, or else you're engaging in the same type of collective punishment that Hamas engaged in on October 7th. So, she has made it very clear that she has a center-of-the-road position, and Donald Trump still tries to paint her as some sort of extremist, while people in his cabinet have said that Palestine should be turned into beachfront property. I mean, Jared Kushner said that Gaza would make amazing beachfront property, so he is the one who is an extremist. To quote VP Harris, talk about extreme. He then says, this U.S. election is the most important election in the history of Israel.
This is the most important election in the history of the United States, and it's also the most important election in the history of Israel. The United States election is the most important election in the history of Israel, actually. If you think about it, how crazy does that sound? But it's true.
It does sound pretty crazy because it's not true. Actually, it might be true, but not for the reason that Donald Trump thinks. Now, if Trump gets back into office, he will enable Netanyahu to go full throttle. He will also make sure that Netanyahu can continue to latch on to power and not go to jail in a similar way that Donald Trump will. Now, Kamala Harris will still support our ally, which she absolutely should, but she has said that she will apply pressure on Israel to minimize civilian casualties, which any normal person should want. Now, here is Donald Trump complaining, whining that more Jewish Americans don't like him.
Bad news, a poll. I just told you how good the polls are, but we need every vote we can get. The current polling has me with Jewish citizens, Jewish people that's supposed to love Israel. After having done all of that, having been the best president, the greatest president by far, a poll just came out. I'm at 40%. That means you got 60% voting for somebody that hates Israel. And I say it's going to happen it's only because of the Democrat hold or curse on...
All right. This is why no one believes Donald Trump. He says that he was the best president for black Americans, while he was the one who mainstreamed this conspiracy theory about the first black president not even being born in America, and has also done many racist things. He also says he was the best president for Jewish people, while constantly deriding Jewish Americans, saying they need a mental check, while constantly endorsing candidates who say Nazi stuff or describe themselves as Nazis, like in the case of Mark Robinson. He also claims that he has been the best president for women, while genuinely stripping rights away from women across the country. This is why nobody believes Donald Trump when he lies and says he has been the best for X group, for X reason. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of personal insight that will let you know why I think Kamala Harris will be good on this issue. So, my grandpa moved here from Syria. My dad is Muslim. His whole side of the family, they are Muslim. I am not, but we argue about this issue all the time because my dad goes to these pro-Palestine protests and he thinks that Israel is waging a force disproportionately against Palestine. Many people in my life believe that, and a lot of times I try to pull them to the center when they believe things that aren't true. So for example, I know people in the Muslim community that think that Joe Biden is actually Genocide Joe, that Joe Biden supports a genocide. Now we know that is not true, but people in this community have fallen for so much propaganda, and it's happened all across the country. But on the other side of that, I've been to MAGA rallies. I go to these MAGA rallies and they say that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are, quote, pro-Hamas. So when you have a large faction of people that think Kamala and Joe are pro-genocide, and you have a large faction of people that think that they are pro-Hamas, I think that that means they are walking a very thin line, and there's Russian propaganda very intentionally trying to divide both sides. Now, I'm not trying to undermine people's real experiences. Trust me, my dad and I talk about this all the time. I talk to many people about this, whether it's at MAGA rallies or in the Muslim community. I understand the feelings and the beliefs, but I do think there is some sort of manufactured outrage that Trump is trying to play on here. So Trump is trying to say that VP Harris is pro-Hamas, when that is not true. And when people in the Muslim community say that VP Harris is pro-genocide, I'm going to say right now, that is all not true. So my broader point here is you don't have to think VP Harris is perfect. It doesn't matter what side of the issue you fall on. VP Harris doesn't have to be perfect in your eyes, but she is way better than this man who still tries to sow division. Just listen.
I have never seen anything like it, where something has gone so down so fast, where even Jewish people are protesting in these groups. They're Jewish people. People wearing yarmulkes are in these groups that are protesting with 100,000 people. So they have to change their way, because with your vote, you can reject anti-Semitism in our schools, in our communities, in our foreign policy, and in
the candidates that you endorse for governor of North Carolina. I'm talking about Mark Robinson, who again is a, quote, black Nazi, and Trump has the goal to speak at an event like this. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed hearing about my personal experiences, let me know in the comment section. I know this video is going to make some people mad inevitably on both sides of the issue. Absolutely, people are going to be mad at me in the comment section below. So if you enjoyed this video, drop some blue hearts and let me know. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.